Welcome to the Total Acre Podcast. I'm your host, C.R. Siebold. This podcast is all about helping growers unlock their potential. We aim to bring listeners agronomic insights, valuable educational interviews, real-world strategies that optimize yield and maximize ROI. This show is going to explore innovative practices, creative strategies, and breakthrough products with people that are shaping the industry, all through engaging and inspiring stories. Who better to learn from than the legendary world champion David Hula, Randy Dowdy, and Alex Harrell? Because in farming and in life, iron always sharpens iron. And the best way to grow or get better is to continually be learning, networking with peers, have access to industry leaders, and the tools, tips, and tricks, and overall quality of information. Knowledge is power. Tune in, hit play. Let's unlock your farm's potential together. All right. Hey, guys. Thanks again for joining us. Total Acre Podcast. Chad Siebold here in almost blizzardy Commodity Classic, Denver, Colorado. What do you think? It's kind of like Nebraska back home, isn't it?
It could be dicey driving home tonight.
Craig and I, both Nebraska kids. Phospholutions. Thanks for coming in to be with us.
Yeah.
You've been with us for a little while now, Craig. I'm excited to kind of go through some results, talk about products, get some things fired up. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Man, I tell you what, we're going to have some fun because you've been with us now at Total Acre. This is the third year.
Going into the third year of trials.
So yes. A lot of the stuff that we've seen has been pretty exciting. A lot of the different things when we talk about the opportunity to return or max ROI, we talk about access to information. And listen, I would call it almost transparency, right? Or at least being able to make sure that providing those results back to growers to make sure that they can make sound decisions. That's what it's about.
Right. Yeah.
Without that, what are we doing, right?
We're just, we're guessing.
That's right. And so, Bryce, tell me a little bit about more. I know you've done a little bit with these guys in terms of building protocol, and I know that's not your game, right, Craig? But when you look at the protocols you build, it's based off of a producer saying, I need this.
Correct.
Bryce, talk a little bit about protocol, and then we'll go into some of the results and talk a little bit more about RhizoSorb and what Phospholutions doing.
Yeah. So second year trialing last year for 24. The protocols were developed around a half rate of P₂O₅ achieved with the RhizoSorb application, the 839.0. So those applications of RhizoSorb at the 50% rate of P₂O₅ was going up against MAP and DAP at the grower's standard rate. Really good results last year with an 88.2% win rate with 17 replications. So a good number of replications, which the growers love to see. So an average result, an average yield lift of 3.16 bushel per acre. And Chad, the neat thing about that, we got a yield lift, but that wasn't necessarily the goal right there. The goal was to maintain yield with a 50% reduction in P₂O₅. So we made money on top of the savings achieved with that 50% rate of P₂O₅ through RhizoSorb application. So really excited about the product, and I do enjoy working with RhizoSorb.
I call that a hook, right? Because now they know why to watch.
That's right.
Listen, if it was just you and I, people would have shut off the camera and said, what are these guys doing? These Nebraska guys aren't cool, right?
Yeah.
But listen, I'm talking about results. And when you look at what you guys have created from inception, kind of a cool story. So if I go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Started really at Penn State, and it's evolved the last really decade almost, right?
Correct.
Into something that you now call Phospholutions. Start there.
Yeah, so our founder licensed a 30-year-old technology that was developed at Penn State and has spent the last 9 years and millions of dollars and hundreds of trials bringing this technology to market. So everyone knows that MAP and DAP, it's 80-year-old technology. It is very inefficient. It's highly soluble. It ties up in the soil. And so what we are doing with RhizoSorb is we have a proprietary mineral that we incorporate into the phosphoric acid granulation process. So we think of RhizoSorb as the next generation of dry phosphate fertilizer. And what we do is we control the release of phosphate in the soil so it doesn't tie up and bind in the soil, and more of what you apply is plant available. And so that translates to being able to apply 50% less P₂O₅ without sacrificing yield, meeting the plant requirements as measured through tissue tests, matching yield goals, and maybe slightly winning.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, the grower's gonna, on average, net around a $20 per acre ROI from switching to MAP and DAP, or switching from MAP and DAP to RhizoSorb.
It's easier to talk about than say RhizoSorb. So whoever did that did an amazing job because I'm getting better at it, but it's an 839.0. and you're looking at that P₂O₅ replacement, listen, I'm talking about something that could change a 50% reduction, seeing at least flats or yield gain by a 50% reduction is what we've seen really the last 3 years, or now 2 years in the third year. I think it's interesting when we talk about that, because we look at NPK, right? We all talk about nitrogen, but when we look at what we've done historically, every farm, it's always been a programmatic approach that, hey, I need this many pounds, right? It's a replacement.
Yep.
And I guess what I would tell you, especially in our world, right? We look at irrigation, all the bicarbonates in the water, everything's getting tied up as soon as it gets wet.
That's right.
And so I like what we're at from a technology standpoint. Talk a little bit more about the technology. I see some stuff sitting in front of you here.
Yeah, so again, it's a simple replacement. You switch out your MAP for RhizoSorb. It comes to your retailer ready to go. And whether you're strip tilling, broadcasting, however you're using your dry phosphate, this is a simple replacement. That's all you have to do. There's no other changes. In terms of using less product, we talk about 50% less P₂O₅. That really translates to about a 33% lower volume use when compared to MAP. So it's not a big change, but again, we're now, instead of trying to build that soil test value up, which is quite frankly expensive, and maybe not the best from a sustainability aspect, runoff.
Absolutely not, right?
Just following my lawyer's guidelines. Anyway, so this allows those farmers to be optimizing their phosphorus applications instead of just trying to build up that soil bank, which has been historically the way we've managed phosphate, and we think there's a better way. There's a more efficient, more cost-effective way now with RhizoSorb.
I like it. Maybe talk a little bit about rates, right? Like I know we were talking about it. It really depends on each operation, what that agronomist talks about. Inside of some of the trials that we were running, I know you guys built the protocol, but what are you looking at rate-wise?
Yeah, so again, it depended on whether it was broadcast or strip tilled. Obviously, a little bit lower application rates on the strip tilled applications, but you were talking about the bank right there with phosphorus. You hear the old saying that you're only utilizing about 10 to 15% of your applied phosphorus. So and I was looking through your booklet here, and you're allowing the plant to dictate the phosphorus it wants to take up with the coating on RhizoSorb, correct?
Yeah, so when we inject the mineral technology into the granulation process, we're adsorbing phosphate to the mineral, and that is controlling the release of the phosphate to the plant based off of concentration gradients. So what that means is, as the plant is growing and pulling soluble phosphate out of the soil solution, RhizoSorb is releasing phosphorus into that soil solution on an almost one-to-one basis.
Cool.
We also do have some water-soluble phosphate that is available, so you have that early season, meeting that early season plant demands, setting that crop up for good success later in season. But what most agronomists understand how important that phosphorus is early season. What I have found over the last 3 years is a lot of agronomists don't understand that the majority of your phosphate is used late season during grain fill. And so we can provide season-long phosphate feeding to, again, meet the plant demands with less applied phosphate.
It's a refreshing approach, honestly. If you look at historically the way we've looked at phos. Let's talk a little bit about the network and the distribution side of things too. We talk about all the time is, how do we make it easy, right? I think that what you just talked about is fairly easy. Getting access to it through the network that you're already working through. I know we have a lot of Total Acre members that are utilizing the products, knocking on the door saying, hey, how do we get more access? What does that look like? But, as you're looking to grow your network and continuing to evolve that, how does the growers get a hold of the product today?
Yeah, so they can certainly ask their local retailer. We work through distribution and retail. Even though we're reducing the amount we're using, it's still a lot of volume, and it needs to go through those fertilizer warehouses so it can be blended and get to the farmer. So ask your local retailer for it. You can also go to Phospholutions.com, where you can look up any of our regional sales managers, contact them directly. They can get in touch with your retailer. We do have a growing list of retailers that are using this product now, and we have a number of retailers that have already switched over from MAP to this, and they like what it does for their growers.
We were talking, on the side here with another guy that was jumped in from Minnesota, and we were talking about sustainability stuff too, right? If you look at the opportunity to be able to, we talk about unlocking potential all the time, utilizing new products to be able to unlock yield potential, right? We're talking about maintaining yields by reducing. Sometimes it's about, pulling back to be able to max ROI, and that's common within Total Acre. We'll look at products that'll do that, but most of the time it's pushing yield. Yield. The other piece I'd like to talk about, just high level, because you were talking about water and sustainability and runoff. I mean, that's a cool piece of the business as well.
Yeah, so RhizoSorb reduces the carbon footprint of switching from MAP to RhizoSorb by 45%. So with the coming 45Z, there's obviously some CI score credits that could come from switching to RhizoSorb. Again, an easy switch. But on the water quality side, which there's a lot of issues with algae blooms and dead zones, hypoxia. Through our research, we've seen 78% reduction in runoff by using RhizoSorb and 84% reduction in leaching. So
I want you to say that again slow, because that's a big number, man.
Yeah, 78% reduction in runoff and 84% reduction in leaching.
Look at our state, right? We talk
right.
about high nitrates in water. We talk about runoff all the time in the state of Nebraska. If you haven't looked at this, look at those things.
Yeah.
If you're prepared, we were just talking about that earlier, having that data prepared, utilizing products like this, you're set up for success down the line. And ultimately, a replacement at 50% is a wildly drastic move mentally, right?
Yep.
But if you look at some of the trials test results within Total Acre, I know you've ran trials tests. We talked about how many. I'll let you highlight that. I know it's here on behalf of Total Acre, but maybe just highlight the amount of energy and effort that you've put inside of trials and testing.
Yeah, so our team over the last 9 years bringing this product to market, we have a world-class data set. We have over 600 trials, nearing 700 trials. Those are a combination of large-scale on-farm plots with Total Acre and many small plot replicated trials all across the Midwest with multiple crops. So when you look at any of the majors that bring products to market, we have comparable data sets. And again, when you're asking a grower to dramatically change a production practice, you better be sure that what you're recommending actually works.
So let's talk about that, right? Now I want you to put your money where your mouth is, right? You're talking about all this stuff. Listen, there's a lot of noise in the marketplace. Look at all the people that are out here today, right? And I'm not throwing shade anywhere, but there's a lot of noise in the marketplace for a producer. That grower guarantee that you and I talked about kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. I think before we get to that, Bryce, when you look at products, you look at repeatability and consistency, right? So I know you're excited to work with these guys again, one more year. Third year, the number of trials that we're going to do out in the marketplace, I know you provide fairly good support. I'm not going to talk all about Brian, your Brian, not our Brian, but you've got people in the field to help producers in that regard as well. So maybe just highlight your team a little bit.
Yeah, so my team consists of 4 regional sales managers who primarily work with retailers and growers to help them understand the technology and how to transition away from MAP and DAP to RhizoSorb. We also have a technical agronomist, Brian Reinecke, that works closely with you and your team to make sure that the trials are done correctly, that we're measuring the right things, and that we are seeing the consistent results that we expect from this product.
Bryce, we know all about this, right? You don't have the right people. It doesn't make the easy button easy to push. Maybe talk about working with these guys, Brian Reinecke and that team a little bit from that standpoint.
Yeah, it's I would just say it's a testament to the agronomics behind the product development. Talking to Brian Reinecke, he's an agronomist at heart. He's got a really good technical background. So, just to see, the product development focused on the agronomics is what I enjoy. But just talking about a Nebraska trial, actually, it's kind of getting off topic a little bit, but I know you are Nebraska guys, so I was just going to bring this up. You were talking about p-values early. I highly respect this grower that we ran this RhizoSorb trial on last year. It was split between 2 hybrids, really good yield lift. But he said, he thinks the RhizoSorb was much more available early in the season, which is why he saw such an uptick in early P uptake, which is what you were talking about earlier. So I think that's a big one, and saw that in trials across Minnesota, Wisconsin as well. So what I really like about the product is you have a guaranteed analysis. There's a lot of folks in the space, in the phosphorus efficiency space, that are targeting saying, hey, I can replace 25 units of P₂O₅. But you have a guaranteed analysis on this product. You know what you're going to get, and we've tested it year over year now, and with an almost 90% win rate for trials in 24, I mean, that's outstanding right there. So congratulations.
Appreciate that. Yeah, Hunter Swisher, our CEO, he started this company because as an undergraduate, he heard about from his professors what a problem phosphate is in terms of the longevity of mine life in the U.S. We maybe have about 50 years at current use rates. And so that is a critical mineral for us to maintain our food supply. And so he's highly focused on the sustainability aspect, but he knew that it's got to perform agronomically, number one. The sustainability doesn't matter if it doesn't work in the field on farm. Number two, it's got to be cost effective. It's got to have ROI for the grower and the supply chain. And if you get those two right, what we found is growers get really excited about sustainability because one, they don't have to pay more to do a better job.
Yep.
They actually pay less with us to meet these sustainability goals. They get better yield.
Yep.
And there's just a lot of good things for our growers to be able to talk about how they are actively trying to manage the environment better.
Yeah. It's a big deal, and I think you bring up, I love seeing an NC State guy talking about Nebraska anything. I know we're trying to get him over to the Nebraska football side of things. One day soon he'll come over. What do you guys call it? NC State?
Wolfpack.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Come on, who knows that? Back to that guarantee, that guarantee. I'm going to talk about your grower guarantee because we're getting closer to getting in cabs. I know you got a deadline on that. Talk a little bit about if they make these changes, when you got to sign up, what does that grower guarantee consist of?
Yeah, so what we heard from growers was, hey, everything you talk about sounds great, but I'm concerned that if I use less fertilizer, I'm going to have lower yields. And so we have enough trial data that we back RhizoSorb with a warranty, and we call it the RhizoSorb Grower Guarantee. And what that program does is it protects your revenue up to $40 an acre if your yield doesn't match your 10-year APH. So to enroll, growers just go to our website. They can register online, and they'd have to apply a minimum of 200 acres to corn and or soybeans, and it can be in multiple fields, but just minimum of 200 acres. They get automatically enrolled in the program, and then during the season they'll have a couple other steps, app to log in, log their acres, and then at harvest, if they have lower yields, we'll send them a check.
That's always nice when you can de-risk it, right? I was playing around on the website the other day, your website the other day, and there was a calculator on there too. I was trying to play around. I thought that was pretty sweet. I know we didn't talk much about it here today, but maybe just highlight that calculator too.
Yeah, so we have a grower savings calculator where a grower can go in and enter his acres, how much he's currently paying for MAP, and it will calculate the per acre or per farm, total farm savings, and also the per acre savings. So, again, on average, 10 to 15% savings for that grower. So more if you're, if you're a high rate user.
Yeah. Again, back to Total Acre, the amount of data, we appreciate you as a partner. But you look at access to information. I love the tools and pieces that you can have in terms of making people more confident in the decisions they make, right? Otherwise, we're throwing darts. So I appreciate that. I'm sure other producers do as well. But when you look at 2025, and I've already asked Bryce this question earlier, so I'm going to ask you, Craig. You can put you on the spot. 2025, you can talk anything you want. You can talk Phospholutions, or what are you excited about 2025? I know there's some doom and gloom. I know there's some things here, but what gets you popping?
One, Commodity Classic here, talking to all the great growers across the U.S. that this is a cream of the crop, best of the best they're here. They're looking for new solutions. They have questions, and they're trying to do a better job. So love connecting with those guys. And then in turn, they're cooperatives and the retailers they work with, and just helping those businesses do a better job, be more profitable, be more sustainable, and really continue to drive value at the farm gate.
I love it. In terms of being easy, you guys are super easy to work with. You're fun to work with. If you haven't checked them out, check them out online or give them a call. I'm sure we'll pop some stuff on the screen here to get a hold of Brian or yourself or the team. Yep. Appreciate you coming in. It's always been fun. You need anything from us, obviously, let's go 2025. Hopefully we get home in the blizzard.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Good seeing you. And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in today to this episode of the Total Acre Podcast. Hey, if you enjoyed it, you liked the conversation, be sure to subscribe. You know the drill. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Go give us a click, give us a like. Until next time, though, keep pushing forward. We hope that you found something unique, something powerful here that might help you unlock your farm's potential. We look forward to seeing you next week. Be safe. Talk more here soon on the next Total Acre Podcast.